We all have a story, and all Star Wars fans have a Star Wars story. Join James as he talks with a special guest each episode to share their Star Wars story. Here's James.
This is the Outlander Club. I'm James Zila, and this is the story where we talk to Star Wars fans about their Star Wars fandom story from top to bottom for now. Today, I got Darth Ward, Rob McDonald. Join me, Rob. What's up?
Good, James. Good to be back here again. I mean, that's two videos in 1 month. It's been a while since we've done that.
It's been a while since you've been on the channel, so it is great to have you here. Thank you so much for joining me on the show today to talk the Star Wars journey that you have been on. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a long show, so I hope you don't have any plans until like midnight tonight because we're going all the way. We're going all the way.
Wow. I'm gonna have to pre-order some Uber Eats or something like that because I'll need some sustenance at some point for sure.
Yeah, you're gonna halfway through. We'll have the Uber Eats come in, and we'll be good to go. All right, let's get started. Rob, you like Star Wars? You come on this channel when you feel like it to talk about Star Wars, and usually you feel like it in December. But let's get right to it. What is your first memory of Star Wars?
So my first, I guess, unlike a lot of people, probably came to Star Wars a little later than one would expect. I always just knew about Star Wars when I was like a really young kid, but I did not see a Star Wars movie until I was 10 years old. It took 10 years old is the first time I saw Star Wars: A New Hope. I still remember exactly how it was. I was just literally sitting. My mom, she had her boyfriend. They were sitting on the couch. And then we started this movie, and I just sat up. I was about 5 feet from the TV. I probably shouldn't have been that close, but I was just sitting there, and I was just watching it like that. What's that, sir?
It was the 90s. That's where you sat back then.
No, totally. Yeah. And we also didn't have 75-inch TVs and stuff like that. It was like a 40-inch tube or like a 32-inch tube TV or something like that, right?
Was it one of the ones in the wooden, it was in the wooden box, the whole, or was it the very 90s where it was all black and plastic?
It was very black and plastic. It was an RCA.
classic
TV.
90s.
Yeah, classic RCA 90s. And just sat there watching on the VHS player. That was my first time watching Star Wars: A New Hope, and turned into a 3-day process where every day we watched A New Hope, then Empire Strikes Back, then Return of the Jedi.
So you're 10 years old. I know how old you are, which means the special edition. These weren't the special editions that you're watching, but you're coming close to the special editions. Having watched these, being 11, 12, did the special editions resonate at all with you? Was that something that as a child you were like, oh, there's a new version of Star Wars we should watch? Or were you just content with what you had? Or do you just not remember?
Oh, I 100% wanted to watch the special editions. I mean, the fact that I came to it a little bit later also meant that I was like, oh, they have a new version of these movies. So these are going to look even better than my RCA TV. I will love to watch this stuff. So yeah, it wasn't near and dear to my heart like it would be for some other fandom. It's whenever they re-release a new version, sometimes people get upset. I was 10 years old. I was not going to be upset about this. I was just happy the fact that it was oh, these movies are coming back onto the big screen, and I can watch them again in better graphics and all that type of stuff. So I was just excited to be able to see them in that way. These ones, I still have the original VHS copies that I actually watched these movies on somewhere. I can't see them right now, but
were they original purchased versions. Or were they taped off TV?
No, they were the legitimate versions. They were the Star Wars versions. I forget, it's a black and blue VHS set where it has Vader's face, Stormtrooper's face, and Yoda's face on each of the VHSs. So
we're doing these all week, and almost everybody has mentioned those VHS and what they've meant. They've meant to everybody. But I think that kind of speaks to Star Wars. And the fact that, that this week I've done 6 of these, and the fact, or there will be 6 by the end of the week, but with the fact that everybody had a copy of those, right? Like depend whether you were born in the 80s or 90s, everybody has a memory of those VHS tapes. That's kind of impressive for a time. That means that was a big deal to own Star Wars like that at that time.
Yeah, no, it was. And it's like, it's still like, I have not watched those things in a very, very long time, but I'm almost thinking about it, because I have a VHS player in my basement. Maybe one day I'm going to bust out that VHS player and just watch them again on that. And, I don't know what it's going to look like on a 4K TV, but I'd be curious to see what it would look like.
It's going to look pretty amazing. So did you see the
Yes.
special editions in the theater? Did anyone take you to see it, or did you have to wait for a while?
No, I did see them in the theater. Yeah, and I was just perplexed about like just seeing them on the big screen now. Those movies that I was literally sitting there watching on every time, and just up to the screen, just being like, wow, like these movies are amazing. And then also getting the fun commentary from my mom and my mom's boyfriend from behind me every now and then. I still remember when we were watching Return of the Jedi, and my mom's boyfriend just started going. It's like when Leia in her bounty hunter suit was walking over to take Han out of the carbonite chamber. Like again, when we watch that movie, you don't know that Boushh is Leia, right? If you watch it for the first time, right? There's no full on telling you that that's Leia, but the way she was walking across it as Boushh, my mom's boyfriend Steve, who just said, it's like, oh, see, that's that character's walking like a woman. That's Leia. That was his commentary at that point. I was like, as like a 10-year-old kid, I wasn't predicting it at that point quite yet. So I was like, oh, it's Leia. And it's like, but also it's like talking about spoilers before spoilers, right? Like like
he now he owns a spoiler blog now. He runs a spoiler blog, and he just finished December ruining Spider-Man for everybody.
Right, exactly. Oh my goodness.
Did you end up owning them on VHS, because you had the other copies? Did you get these ones on VHS, or was that no, you already own these?
So the special editions I never owned on VHS. I owned them later on DVD. Like I bought them later on DVD, but I never actually owned the special edition on VHS. I just had that original VHS copy, that one, the ones I told you about.
Special editions come, you go see it, you find out that Leia is Boushh, you leave. You're just stuck with your VHS copies. Then this little movie called The Phantom Menace is announced and comes out. You might have been too young for I don't know if you have any memories of the trailer, if you do share those. But if not, did you see that in the theater? And did you have like a hype going into that? Or were you just a kid who was kind of, because look, when you're adults, you're like, well, Star Wars. But when you're a kid, it's like Star Wars, sure. But then you have, for you would have had like Power Rangers and maybe Ninja Turtles and whatever else was out at that time. Cyber Sharks from Mars or whatever they were. But like there was things
Biker Mice from Mars, yes.
Yeah, Biker Mice from Mars. Street Sharks. Those are
Street Sharks. You put them together, yeah.
Yeah, put them together. Listen to me.
Mice and sharks, they naturally go together.
They go together. But kids have things, and like and just because one might be a higher quality or whatever, to a kid that makes no difference. They like what they like. So was this something that caught your attention at a young age?
Oh, 100% caught my attention. When you're talking about like the trailer exactly, I don't have a direct memory as like the first time I saw it. I remembered loving it though when I saw it. But it wasn't a case where it was like, oh, like when you ask certain other people that were a bit older, they were just like, oh yeah, I bought that ticket to meet Joe Black just to watch the trailer for the Phantom Menace, right? And then it's like, oh, then you see the trailer and then you leave right away to not watch Meet Joe Black. Poor Meet Joe Black. I mean, give that movie some love, folks. Honestly, we should all watch it to make up for the fact as anybody that had bought a ticket to go see it and did not actually go see it. Just saw it for the trailer.
Well, spoiler alert, but Brad Pitt's death scene in that movie is spectacular.
Spoiler alert is right, because I have not seen that movie. So there you go.
I'm pretty sure it's the opening 2 minutes.
Is it opening 2 minutes? Is that what he does? Wow.
It starts with him dying.
Okay. So it's like he's like Drew Barrymore. Does he get stabbed by a
No,
Ghostface killer?
no. He's the main character. He's the main character of the movie.
Okay,
It's,
okay.
yeah. But he anyway, he died. He spectacular death. Spectacular death. You won't see it. Well, you will now. But anyway, so this movie comes out. Phantom Menace. You're still. I guess you're kind of a kid at this point.
Yeah, it was grade 8.
In that.
Grade
You're
8,
getting to that age where you're kind of a little snot, where you're kind of going to become a jerk soon. Like you're right there, right?
Mhm.
How did you react to the Phantom Menace?
So I still like. I didn't like when I saw Phantom Menace again. Like you were describing what it was like at school. The hype was real. Like it was like at school. It was like pretty much everybody wanted to go see this movie. Everybody was talking about this movie. Like it didn't matter who you were, whether you were a jock or or anybody, like a nerd. Everybody was hyped to see this movie in my class. Like everybody wanted to see it. Everybody wanted to see Liam Neeson in a Star Wars movie, all that type of stuff, right? Oscar Schindler fights Sith. There you go.
I'm sorry, was Schindler's List really big for 12-year-olds?
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, it was not. Yeah, 14. That's how old it was.
14-year-olds like we got to go watch Schindler's List. It's historic.
No, it was a movie I had seen by that point, but it was also like it was just. I think it was because my mom referred to it like that, and she's like, "Oh, Oscar Schindler, right?"
Wow.
It was it's playing. It's going to be the Star Wars movie, but it was like, the hype was real, and it was like just going to see this movie. Some people like to say like they saw Phantom Menace and they hated it immediately. That was not the case for me. It was just seeing a brand new Star Wars movie. Even though I wasn't this, I was diehard by that point, but I hadn't been diehard for ever since I was 5 years old or something like that, right? I had been diehard as a Star Wars fan for about 4 years at that point, right? Ever since I saw those VHSs there in the living room. So when I saw that movie, I just loved it. I wanted to see it multiple times. We had plays, like little mini like acted plays that we would do. I reenacted and rewrote the final battle between Maul, Obi-Wan, and Qui-Gon as a part of the thing. It was me and two other friends, and we were just like, let's do Star Wars. And then I wrote basically kind of like rewrote a little mini script that involved us, me playing Qui-Gon and dying first because I'm the orchestrator of this all, so I'm okay with going out first, right, and putting the focus on them. And so that's what it was. It was just basically a small little dialogue scene, and then very sloppily choreographed sword fight is what I would basically say. That led to me dying in about 3 strokes, and then my Darth Maul character dying 5 strokes later.
I think being a child will forgive you on the sloppy sword play. I think we
weren't choreographers. Excuse me.
No,
as much as we would like to be.
And you're still not. That's
14.
You're still. Did you get toys? Like, because you're at such an awkward age where toys aren't. You kind of are out of the toys, but something's still kind of holding you in. Did you get toys for the Phantom Menace or any merchandise from the Phantom Menace?
So yes, Phantom Menace. Okay, when you're talking about this, little snot type of a thing, this was a case where it's like, I'm admitting to something, and I'm admitting something for the whole class. But actually, in the case of the Phantom Menace toys, they were shoplifting items.
Oh, good.
Yes, I know.
Kids are jerks.
Yeah, I know. So it was just a case where it was like they were shoplifting ones, and then it's like every person would come in with their one. So it was like, oh, this person went in to go shoplifted Obi-Wan right off the bat. So this person shoplifted Qui-Gon, and then after that, you start getting to the other ones, right? Like, so basically, whenever they brought them in that they shoplifted these figures, it was like everybody should come in with a different figure, right? So it's like, Steve over there, he already shoplifted Obi-Wan. So if you're going to shoplift one, you better not bring in Obi-Wan. You better shoplift somebody else, right? So it was like somebody would come in with a Kiadi Mundi, and they'd just be like, it was like the local Zellers was was unfortunately the the unfortunate actor
Was
within
that
this all
was
that
that the
had to
Zellers
get
that
there.
then turned into a target and now is a whatever?
Exactly. Yes, the exact one that you're thinking of.
I can see that
That was
look. That whole
unfortunate.
area. That whole area looks like it gets shoplifted quite frequently, still to this day.
Unfortunately,
It's
yes. So yeah, that was basically the thing there. And but regardless of me, possibly or maybe not being part of this, little clique of shoplifters, I did buy a fair bit of the other Star Wars figures because it was also like a case where it was like, oh, before the movie came out, and like there's this new character. It's like he looks so cool. He's got the floppy ears, or they're hanging there, and he's got the snout and stuff like that. Jar Jar Binks, he's gonna be a high ticket item, like that every kid's gonna want. And even though I was not as a 14-year-old, like I did not hate the movie. Jar Jar was not one that after I saw the movie, I was like, I'm glad I got this Jar Jar Binks figure. I was kind of like, he was one of the less cool characters in the movie. And obviously, after it all, everybody wanted Darth Maul stuff, right? So
yeah, Darth Maul was
the real one.
He's the face of it's weird. He's barely in it, and he's the face of the prequel trilogy. Really, when you think about it, it's like Darth Maul is the prequel trilogy.
Well, yeah, those 4-inch figures. It was just like you almost knew like who was going to be the face of it all because they would come with the figure, and then there would be the cardboard box, and then there was a Maul face right there, right?
Yeah,
like it was
absolutely.
like so.
You steal all of your figures.
Only one.
Sure, only one, and you're on the black market. Whatever. You're running from the cops. 3 years go by, and when you are, a young teen, 3 years is a substantial amount of time because you go from a young teen to late teens, and you go from a snotty little kid to just straight up jerk at this point. Like, let's be honest, teenagers are the worst people on the planet. So you get to that point,
except for teenagers that listen to Rebel Scum podcast.
Yes, you guys are the best. But look, teenagers, you have to. When you're a teenager, you're young and you're dumb, and I'm not gonna say the rest, but you're young and you're dumb, and you're trying to prove something that you can't prove yet because you haven't been through it. So you go through those 3 years, you probably think that your opinion is the greatest. Do you go see Attack of the Clones? Do you remember when the title for Attack of the Clones was announced?
The title, no. I thought I had some memory, but it would be very vague or anything like that. It was just kind of like the new Star Wars movies coming out, Attack of the Clones, and just like, okay.
Gotta go see Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, that was kind of it. And it was like, yeah, I remember exactly where I saw Attack of the Clones actually, and it was at that. Remember the movie theater that if people that don't know the series won't care all that much, but it's like in Mississauga they had that one movie theater that was inside Square One. Like they had that.
Yeah, at the top. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, like not
the movie there.
Yeah. So and that's actually where I saw Attack of the Clones in that theater over there, and it was cool because you're a kid and stuff like that. You had people that were working various jobs, and somebody actually worked in that Attack of the Clones theater. And so the cool thing that I had, and I don't know where it came from, was that afterwards when all the posters were coming out, I got one of the posters that they put up in that theater afterwards for Attack of the Clones. And so that was kind of cool. Just the fact that you know somebody that's in there, and it's just like these posters are going away, and they grab them and then start giving them out to people. And I was luckily one of the people that got to get one. So
I had an Attack of the Clones poster in my dorm room in college. I had that, Spider-Man, and a Scooby-Doo poster, and Made, and the Pulp Fiction poster. Those are the ones I had. I had Made.
No Boondock Saints.
No Boondock Saints. Made. It was Made, Scooby-Doo, but not the movie, like the cartoon Scooby-Doo. Just randomly, I had just this random Scooby poster.
Not Matthew Lillard.
No, it was the cartoon. I think the movie wasn't even out when I got the poster, and then it was Attack of the Clones and Spider-Man. The original Sam Raimi Spider-Man posters were covered my dorm room walls back in college in the year 2000 and whatever it was, 1 or 2. What were your impressions of that movie now?
So that was the first one where like I did not like overtly dislike it. I was just like, now coming to 2002 when that movie came out, so I would have been 17. So I was at that point kind of like, I watched it and it was awesome for all the effects and the action and all that stuff, but it was the first time I exited the theater watching a Star Wars movie where I felt maybe a little bit like lukewarm. Like I would say, I was just kind of like, that was good. It was fine. Like it was more like that, more of a reaction. It was even, like I said, as a 14-year-old leaving Phantom Menace, I was still under the impression. I was like, oh my god, this is awesome and stuff like that, right? But that was the first time I ever exited a theater where I kind of felt like lukewarm. But it was like at the same time I still loved Star Wars, so it wasn't a case where it was like, this movie sucks, this movie is the worst movie I've ever seen. It was just a case where it was just like, it was like, oh, I love Star Wars, but this one was like, first time I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I would still go on to see it I one more time in the theater as well, and I would still watch it like on DVD and stuff like that when I got it. So
it's because you're older teen now. Did you buy any merchandise from Attack of the Clones, or were you past that? Oh, you did. Okay.
I was because even like as a kid where I didn't really get into that, but spoiler alert, I do like Boba Fett. So even though like, I wasn't buying figures and stuff like that, when I saw that, this character called Jango Fett wearing, similar helmet and all and stuff was in it, I was just like, I don't collect Star Wars toys anymore, but I still went out of the way where I was just like, I got to get a Jango Fett figure. And he was a hard to find figure all over the place. Like I remember calling like Walmart and stuff like that, being like, "Hey, do you have Jango Fett figure?" And it's like, "Oh yeah, we do." It's like, "Yeah, oh, can you put it aside for me?" "Yeah, no problem." And then I get on my number 6 bus here in Mississauga to take the bus all the way over there, only to find out that the thing that they put aside for me was Jango Fett's Slave One ship, and they didn't actually have the Jango Fett figure. So it was like, oh, stupid Walmart! Like I wanted the figure. So that was a hunting process for me where I just wanted this Jango Fett figure. I didn't really buy much else of that merchandise. Obviously, that was more the points where it started going downhill a little bit. Like, even with Phantom Menace, with the figures, things were starting to head downhill a little bit.
At least you weren't shoplifting at this point.
No. And again, not to make too much out of it, but yeah, it was a weird phase that I guess the group of kids that we were a part of, where it was just like, you bring in one, and that's all it was just one. Sorry, Hasbro. It was one.
Sure. Hasbro listens to this, so
yes. I was sure that you did.
You're finishing. By the time this is over, high school is wrapping up for you. High school wraps up, then you move on to college. Or did you go to college? I don't know. We won't. That's not what this is about. But if Revenge of the Sith comes out, probably around the time you would have been in, or just probably in college, you would have been in.
I was in college at that point. Yeah, doing my liberal arts program over at the wonderful Humber.
Well, there you go. So you're in this program. This movie, Revenge of the Sith, comes. This is the end of Star Wars as we know it. You were a fan for 10 years at this point. Now, like officially 10 years at this point, you have been a Star Wars fan. You've suffered through Attack of the Clones. You shoplifted your way through the Phantom Menace. Is the hype for Revenge of the Sith, after your experience with Attack of the Clones, is the hype for Revenge of the Sith the same? Is it massive, or is it kind of like, well, I'll still go see this movie because of like Star Wars, or were you just like, Star Wars is the best, I'm going?
So Revenge of the Sith hype for me was actually gigantic. It might have been bigger than Phantom Menace, to be honest, because it was just like at that point in your life, you just kind of have your core group of friends for the most part, right? And you have your college, like, friends and stuff like that. But I was still like friends with my high school friends. We had our group of people that we just loved to hang out with. And for that one, it was probably one of my first like marathon times, because what we literally did, we had the midnight showing tickets for Revenge of the Sith there at the Rathburn Theater. And what we literally did was, for that whole day ahead of time, we watched Phantom Menace, we watched Attack of the Clones, and we didn't stop there. We watched the anime cel-shaded shows, like the Clone Wars series as well. We wanted to build up with it, even with that, right? So we watched all the episodes of that, and then building up to going to the theater. And of course, 2005 was still the time where you couldn't get reserved seating, and this was Revenge of the Sith. So we literally showed up, I think, like an hour and a half or 2 hours early, out in lines outside with people dressed up as Jedis and with their lightsabers and all that type of stuff, even at this theater. So it was pretty special, and just a very special day because it was pretty much another Star Wars day, like the first time I did a Star Wars day building up to it. So I think that's really what turned out to make it a very special day in general.
You're big on the marathons. Do you still do that when you go see a Star Wars movie? Do you still have like a day where you're like, I'm going to sit and watch all the Star Wars?
No, unfortunately not, because even at that time, even though I was in college and it was heading towards the end of the year, we probably would have been done actually by that point, I think, our semester. So there was nothing really to do, and didn't have a job aside from a part-time job, just still kind of living at home. So it was just a case where you could just devote a whole day like that to it. It's a little harder now, like especially with jobs and work, to just do something like that. So as much as I like to do it, it's a little harder to do now than it would have been in 2005.
Yeah, no, completely. So what were your thoughts during the movie and after the movie about Revenge of the Sith? Did it live up to your expectations?
Yeah, it 100% did. It was like, the case where it was like, you were watching all these movies up until then, and it was pretty much all of them just built up to one big lightsaber fight. And the fact that this was the first one that really kind of like had multiple really big lightsaber fights, like we're talking about like 4 really big ones, right?
Yeah.
Like when it's Dooku versus Anakin and Obi-Wan, to Grievous versus Obi-Wan, to Yoda versus Palpatine, and even Palpatine versus Mace Windu was in there too. And then of course the big climactic one, the gigantic one, Obi-Wan versus Anakin. So it was just this big like cinematic event that was the culmination of it all. See how Anakin becomes Darth Vader, and yeah, that was pretty darn huge. And it was like just the fact that the scope of that movie and what you get out of that movie was more than enough to have me buzzing for a very, very long time.
You're at like that awkward age now where college is like, you're in college. So now in high school you get toys, you're a loser. But now you're in college, and now if you get toys, you're a collector. Did you get anything for Revenge of the Sith? How big of a deal was it for you to track down I don't know, a one-handed Windu or something? Like, did you get anything going into it, and did you have fun on hunts?
No, so that was the first one where I didn't really get any toys from that one. I wasn't buying really at that point with the toys. I was more about like, just the buying all the DVDs and stuff like that. And you're talking about the Clone Wars show and all that stuff, and watching that.
But not, like the Clone Wars 2D.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
that's my favorite. I love that one.
I love that one too. And it was a case where it was like, that was more where my collecting was. I wasn't really buying up the figures at that point. Of course, that would change later. But
what was that? Did you go to get those DVDs? What was that store in Square One called? Where you would buy?
Did you mean HMV, or did you mean?
No, it's where Sunrise is now. What was that place? It was called something else back in the early 2000s, late 2000s. It was called. Oh man, they sold a bunch of like hard to find DVDs and stuff in there. What was it called?
Yeah,
it's where HMV and Sunrise is now, but I can't remember what it's called. I bought this there. Super Mario.
So Brothers. This was before HMV you're talking about, like before
HMV it was called something else.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember what it was. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, just wondering if that's where you went for that stuff, but it sounds like it wasn't. So let's move on.
No.
So what? These easy find to these the Clone Wars and stuff at like Walmarts and stuff like that.
Was it easy to find? Sorry, repeat that again.
To find these at Walmarts, like these DVDs at Walmarts for you to watch.
Yeah, so it was like I was buying them at like Future Shop and stuff like that. So I was able to get like the first volume of it and that one, and I wouldn't actually get volume 2 until much later. It was a case.
Me too.
It was like, Yeah. And with Volume 2, it was like you know, downloading started becoming a thing around that time as well. So
yes.
yeah,
So you went from shoplifting in one capacity to shoplifting in a new capacity. Good. You bookended the prequels the same way. Perfect.
well, again, we've had this discussion about
Call the
that one
cops.
because some of that stuff, it's just so hard to find. If I could have literally bought Volume 2, I would have, like, and that would have been the best way to watch it, not watch it off of this, crummy little download and stuff like that, because that's, we were watching it all and we got to watch them all on the screen and whatnot. And watching those ones was like the worst, like, experience, more so because, watching them on DVDs isn't the same thing as watching as a 4K now, but at that time it might as well have been that different. Like, because downloads weren't the same way that they are nowadays, right? Like,
oh no, and they took a lot longer.
No.
And you would get like 4 viruses by the time you found the one that wasn't a virus.
Right.
No, I actually I'm saying that, but I'm mostly joking, and I know I've never been able to. I still don't know how to download movies illegally. Like, I've never been able to really figure it out. Usually I pay for them, Rob, because I'm a good person. No, I have to find someone else to get it for, because I don't know how the heck to do that. I just can't figure it out. The internet is beyond me. We'll say that. It is far beyond me. But let's move on from Revenge of the Sith and your stealing. We'll go now. There's like, this is now. So for me, it was like the late 80s to like most of the 90s, half the 90s was my dark times. Now we're into your dark times. There's no Star Wars promise. We get the Clone Wars. Are you into the new Clone Wars? The 3D, the computer Clone Wars? But did you get into that, or was this still, or were you kind of like, I've moved on from Star Wars for a while? Maybe at this point, maybe forever. Maybe you're like, Star Wars is something I'm going to enjoy, but it's going to be these 6 movies and this cartoon that I like, but this new cartoon isn't for me, and that's fine.
So yeah, it was never about like it never really died out for me. It kind of just more died out, like, when I'm talking about the group of friends that we were with, and it was like, we got into Revenge of the Sith and stuff like that. It was just after that point, the Star Wars flame kind of died down with the group of friends for the most part, and they weren't interested in watching, like, the animated thing. Like, literally, I think the only reason they watched the Clone Wars animated thing was they thought, like, a lot of us thought that was kind of connected, right? That was supposed to be taking place in between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. So now when this show came out, they weren't really interested in watching it, but I still did. I was trying to watch as much of it as possible. I never watched the Clone Wars movie in theaters. I only watched them originally in the separated episode blocks, like when they came out, like that as part of the show. But yeah, it was still a case where it was like every week I pretty much needed to keep up on the Clone Wars craze. Like, I was still like very much interested.
Like, from day one, you were all in on the Clone Wars.
Well, I'm not gonna say day one, because obviously I didn't go to see the movie in theaters.
Oh no, but when it came out on TV, though.
Yes, when it came on TV, I was trying to watch it like on TV all the time as best I could. And
okay, so
yep.
Go on.
No. Yeah. So it was just like, it was obviously a different type of experience, because it wasn't like, we didn't really have a full on TV show really to watch up until that point that was Star Wars related. So it was kind of cool just keeping up with each of the storylines. And, even though they would put them in the roughly about 3 or 4 episode blocks, right, every time, whether it was each one, and just, yeah, it was a fun experience just watching in general. It never got me as invested as I was when I went to go watch either, Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith or Phantom Menace.
Well, now let's move on to this point in time. Okay. George Lucas says, no, there's no more Star Wars. And then all of a sudden, in 2012, it is announced that Disney has purchased Lucasfilm. And not only have they purchased Lucasfilm, but they're making episodes 7, 8, and 9. So let's stick with just that. What were your thoughts when that acquisition occurred?
I mean, I was very much excited for it, like, especially at that time when you look at what Disney was. They had just bought Marvel just a couple years before that, and the gold that they were really putting out over there, right? Like with the MCU properties was pretty huge, and now the fact that they were buying that and then giving us more Star Wars on the big screen was very exciting, and I was very like, yeah, I think we like texted like almost immediately afterwards after it happened. That was pretty darn cool.
Yeah, I think there's a few things I've said before. That there's a quote from Lucas about how Star Wars is basically a Disney movie anyway. But then the other thing is exactly that the Marvel, what they were doing with Marvel at that point kind of gave me hope with what they could do with Star Wars. And so I was really thrilled. But then there's another shoe dropped in that, and that's that they canceled the Clone Wars. So as a Clone Wars fan, how did you feel about that?
So I was a little disappointed because, again, like, we had invested by that point. I think it was what? I forget how many seasons Clone Wars is now, but it was 5 seasons at that point, and then the 6th came out on Netflix later. But it was to not get like more of a definitive end for Ahsoka and whatnot was a little disappointing for me at that time. But I think it was a case where it was like, what I'm excited about is this big, and then it's like this is the disappointment a little bit, right? So
the good outweighed the bad.
100%, yes, the good outweighed the bad. So I was even though I was disappointed that I wouldn't get to keep watching Clone Wars as I had for a couple years by that point. The overarching news completely overwhelmed me and made me very happy.
Well, you might have been happy in 2012 when you heard the news, but you had, there was some turbulence getting to the release of The Phantom Menace in 2015. We had to, first they're like, we have a writer. We don't have a director. Then they have a director. What were your thoughts? Because you're a movie guy, so you're a big Pixar guy. So you would have known Michael Arndt from his work on Toy Story 3. Were you excited about his hiring then? But then subsequently, were you also excited about J.J. Abrams hiring? But then they got rid of Arndt. How did that play in your mind?
So I wasn't as familiar with like at that point. Yes, I knew him from that stuff, but it was JJ that I was utterly familiar with because I was watching a little show called Lost, and I was a gigantic fan of that show up until it ended. Like I jumped on that train almost immediately, and it was the fact that he was involved with that show, and now that guy's going to go and do a Star Wars movie. The guy that did Mission Impossible 3, really dig that movie, was going to be doing Star Wars. It was very exciting to me, and also I'm not even mentioning the fact that he was just doing Star Trek before that, right? Yeah. And that's very exciting. So that's the main part that got me very much invested in it because I'd loved majority of the stuff that he had and JJ had done at that point. So seeing his take on a Star Wars movie was very interesting to me at that point.
And then opening night, I was with you. You went to go see The Force Awakens. Did it live up to expectations for you? Were you gung-ho on, you're like, okay, Star Wars is back, let's keep going?
It absolutely lived up to expectations for me. I mean, it was a case where I was just giddy throughout the whole movie. I got goosebumps so many times in that movie. It was insane. And it was the most excited I had been to see a movie for a second time at that point that it had been forever. Because I remember we saw that on the Thursday night screening, and I already had my tickets to see it the second time on Saturday morning. It was an 11 a.m. show. And it was a case where I was literally having a Christmas party the night before at a friend's place. And I was going to see the movie with these same friends that same day. So it was like literally Christmas party the night before, drinking, going to sleep, wake up in the morning, going to go see Force Awakens again. So we had a pretty big record for seeing that movie, right? How many times did you wind up seeing that movie in theaters?
I think I only saw 4.
It was only 4? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think I tapped out at 4. You and Brock saw it over 6. I think you saw it 7.
I saw it 7. Yeah, it was 6 for the longest time, but then it was even 7. The 7 one clocked in at because I believe it was February, and I went to go visit a friend in Calgary, my friend Andrew, And while we were over there in Calgary, I asked him, it's like, oh, so what did you think of Force Awakens? And he's just like, oh, I never saw it. It's like, you never saw it? And then
Get in the car.
Yeah, exactly. We went. I believe I bought his ticket, and we went to go see Force Awakens. So
because I saw it on the Thursday and the Sunday for my dad's birthday, and then the
New Year's Day.
Yeah, and then the Tuesday in the D box we went, and
Right.
then New Year's Day, and I think that's it. And
we wanted to see it in every format. I remember that.
Yeah, it didn't happen.
That was a big
but
thing.
I remember back then that was close. But I remember, I was maxed out after 4. I was actually, I think I was maxed out after 3, and the 4th one was it was also it was New Year's Eve and like 11 a.m. Like I was really tired.
Was it New Year's Eve?
It was New Year's Eve in Belleville. Okay. Yeah, it was New Year's Eve. I was really tired, and that one was. I remember that one. It was a struggle to stay awake. I was just so tired. I don't think it was the movie necessarily, but anyway, yeah. I only saw that many, which is the most I think I've seen a movie in the theater since I worked in the theater, where I saw some movies 6 times. But it was free though; you didn't pay. So this was the most I've paid to see a movie. So you love this one. Does your shoplifting come back? Did you get any was there anything that you were like, I've got to collect this from this movie?
So it was like, I think your hype in it got me back into getting some of this stuff, because I remember you were getting a bunch of stuff, and let's not forget our days of going to the Disney store in Square One, trying to get the new Elite Series figure, right?
That was so much fun. It was ridiculous, but it was fun.
Yeah. I remember that. It was a lot of fun just getting like the ticket, right? And how did it work again? You got the ticket, and you weren't going to find out if you got one until
you had to wait like an hour, and then they did a draw, and if they drew your name, you got to pay for the Elite, because they only got like, I think there was Darth Maul, Darth Maul, Anakin,
Grievous,
Darth Maul, Anakin, Grievous. And then there was a Stormtrooper, Boba Fett, and Vader.
Yes,
were the 6 that they did that for. But they also had elites for
they did them for each episode, right? Like
and I love them. Yeah, so you'd have to show up, put your name in a draw, then an hour later they pulled your name. But the prequels, I think our Disney store only got like between 6 to 8 of them for those 3, and then the originals, I think it was between 8 and 6. They got a little bit more. I think it was 8 and 16 for the original trilogy ones. And then, and then they did it for Force Awakens, but it was ridiculous because they just had like 400,000 of them in stock. But it was fun though. It was 6 weeks of
I remember that one guy that kept on showing up over there, and it was like obvious that he wanted to buy them just so he could resell them or something like that. Yes, and he was getting so upset every time that he didn't get them.
I lucked out. I got picked every single time.
Yeah, I remember that.
You lucked out. You didn't, which was unfortunate, but you lucked out and were able to get like Grievous later on the shelf. Like they put them on the shelf, like 2 copies of them on the shelf, and you lucked out and got a Grievous one.
Yeah, that was after market, because I think it was a few months later that they wound up getting them like just on the on the shelf. They started getting a whole bunch of those ones that were draws just before Force Awakens, right? Because all those were before Force Awakens was coming out, right? In the build up to it.
Yeah. Then they had Poe, Rey with a lightsaber, and a maskless Kylo Ren, unmasked Kylo Ren, and those were the ones for that.
The day of I got all for Force Awakens.
Yeah, the day of release, and I remember Andrew Fantasia came and were like, "Do not look at these."
Yeah, that's right. Because he had not seen that movie yet at that point. Yeah. Because those released on a Friday, I think, right? And then
the Friday morning, yeah. And he was going on the Saturday, I think, and we saw it the Thursday. So yeah. But was there anything else that caught your eye from Force Awakens, or were you like, I'm an adult, I'm good?
So there's definitely multiple things. I mean, it was that like the Disney Store stuff in general was pretty cool, and then they were also releasing all the ships, right, as well. Part of it, like the die-cast ones, and so I got the Falcon for that one.
So good.
Yeah, and it's so cool because it's one of the few ones that I just like to take out every now and then, just because of how like solid and that's Kylo's ship.
Falcon is. This won't fit him in the box. This is so big, it won't fit in the box. The Falcon is. When I get this ready, the Falcon won't be out. But yeah, the Falcon's beautiful.
The Falcon's awesome. It's just like I like to take it out of the package every now and then. It's one of the few ones I just like to take out and just kind of like hold. It's such a beautifully constructed um uh figure, which is basically a ship in general. So it's one that I very much liked getting. And aside from that, it was like the odd like Black Series figures that I was also getting every now and then as well. But mostly oh, and let's not forget the Subway cups. Remember the Subway
the
cups
old
with
Subway cups, yeah.
they have the Subway cups with all the different Star Wars characters' faces on them and stuff like that. So that was one. I was eating a lot of Subway at that time just to try to get them all. And so
that's half the fun of these things.
It was, yes. And
was
yeah,
hype,
yep, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, was your hype real for Rogue One? Was it on par with Force Awakens, or was it a little bit less because this is a spin-off now? And at the time we didn't really know what to expect from it, but it wasn't Star Wars' triumphant return, right? It's a year later, it's had its triumphant return, and now this is a movie, no Jedi. We don't know what to expect from this. So where was your hype level on this one?
So it was still very high, like not quite as high as Force Awakens, but like you kind of said, it was like that was the big grandiose return, and return to the characters. You got to see all the original characters back and all that type of stuff. This was like more of the original story. However, what really helped it stay like very high was before the movie came out is also when this podcast started up, right? Like
it was started that summer, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not too long before it. I remembered a part of it was me being on like I think it was either the second or third episode. I can't remember which one it was, but yeah, it was that. And then I still remembered when I came over to Brock's place, and then the three of us sat down to do an episode, and the Olympics were on, and we decided to do the actual reaction to the Rogue One trailer there. So that was
audio only too, which was a bold move on our part. Audio only reaction to the trailer.
We didn't know where the gold was. We didn't know where the gold mine
actually was. It audio only? Did we have a camera on us?
I thought we did, but I don't remember. I don't know if it was actually released.
We might have, but we didn't have a YouTube channel yet. We did the YouTube channel in September.
Right.
So I don't know what the point of that was. But yeah, we did that for that was a second episode. Yeah. Hilarious.
Yeah, and it was really cool to just do that part, and it helped build up the hype to get to Rogue One because yeah, like it was still like abnormally high, and we had our plan like about going to the VIP theater, getting the whole row out and all that type of stuff, right, to watch the movie. So it was still like really high when it comes to anticipation for me for this one.
And were your expectations met when you saw the movie?
Oh, 100%. I mean, it was like the most gritty Star Wars movie, I would say at that point. Just this war film that every time we saw them, and we heard about all the problems about like behind the scenes, and when it came to Gareth Edwards and whatnot with the reshoots and watching watching trailers, right, like seeing several scenes in the trailers that weren't included in the actual movie. But when you come down to like the final battle scene, when you come out to Vader, having maybe the greatest Vader scene of all time in that movie, it was pretty huge. And I remembered when we after we saw the movie, we had our fun top 5 thing where we did top 5 favorite characters from Rogue One, and on that very list, I still remember my hype has died down for this character a little bit because he's not really a character, but I put Gunner number 2. I think at like my third spot is the fact that he actually shot down a ship was pretty huge to me.
Yeah.
Didn't take him long, and I kind of wanted to write like my own little like fanfic about that character, about how he could have been on the Death Star or something like that, and he might have like helped prevent the Rebel Alliance from destroying the Death Star had he been there, because his shot would have just completely taken out one of those X-wing fighters.
Take it right out.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a part of the fun about it, and yeah, Rogue One was a great movie, and
it was a lot of fun. Rogue One was the movie. The first time we saw it, I remember I thought it was clunky off the top, and then the second time I went to go, I just loved it. It was just like it was. And actually, the first viewing we left, I got home, and Aaron and I were like, "Yeah, that was good," and we didn't think anything of it. The second time she was there again, and as soon as we got home, she's like, "We got to watch A New Hope." Like it was like as soon as we got home, like the second viewing seemed to resonate more the second time we saw it, which is whatever. It's an experience. That's what it was.
Yeah, and one of the times I think I watched it too was actually like I watched it here in Mississauga, and it was only like an hour or two after watching Rogue One, where it was announced, I think, that Carrie Fisher passed away.
Yeah, it was
Right?
right around there.
Yeah, and after watching it, one of the times that just being that reaction, especially with how the movie just ends, just made it feel a whole lot more even somber and made me feel sad because of the fact that you get to see a CGI version of her, saying that line at the end, and then you hear that she passed away not too long after that, like just hours after watching the movie. Was a pretty sad experience, but she's our princess, and she was taken too early.
Yeah, absolutely. It was kind of surreal seeing like the young version of her, and then hearing that she passed away right then.
Yeah.
And now we have to transition into your favorite Star Wars movie, The Last Jedi. So you see The Force Awakens. A lot of people like it, but the hype for The Force Awakens was kind of weird. Like Rogue One kind of overtook it because I think the Vader scene is what everybody loves the Vader scene. And now we get The Last Jedi, and we went to Star Wars Celebration, Orlando. We saw the trailer there. What was, just quickly before we get into The Last Jedi and your love for it, what was it like being in Orlando for you as a Star Wars fan?
So it was gigantic, and I don't know if you remember this part, but I'm going to even go back a couple months before that for a moment, if I could, James, because if you remember the fact that it was like, you're building up to it, and you had episode 8 coming out, but do you remember what day the title, The Last Jedi, was announced?
It was on your stinking birthday.
On my birthday, they announced the title of The Last Jedi.
2017, I guess it was.
Yeah. January 23rd, 2017. So that
stupid birthday.
If I ever come back to do the Star Wars trivia, please include that as a question, if you could. But regardless of the fact, just the buzz going up into it, and the fact that we were going to be at Celebration, and we knew that the trailer was going to drop there, so we got to see it live there with a whole lot of Star Wars brethren there in Celebration in Orlando was pretty special, like in general. And just I believe I recorded myself in my reaction live there while we were watching it, right beside, I think, where were we standing beside the big AT-AT?
I think we were under the TIE Fighter. It was a TIE
Fighter? Okay, yeah, never mind. Yeah.
We were under the TIE Fighter, and to our left was the Rancor, the famous Rancor.
Yes, that's right too. Yeah.
That introduced me to George Lucas.
Indeed. So yeah, that was very special, and just the fact that how long were we there for? It was well, you guys were there for longer, right?
Yeah, I was there for long. We were there for like 4 or 5 days, though. It was a good week.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Let's call it a week.
Yeah. But yeah, just being down there with all that, and being in Orlando for me for the first time, and I think at that point was about 15 years or 10 years or something like that. Oh, it was pretty cool. No, 15 years. Yeah. 15 years. Yeah.
But now you've got to go. First of all, we went through hell getting tickets for The Last Jedi because they do the stupid thing where they show the trailer on Monday Night Football, and then you have to scramble to get tickets online. Right. But for this one, for Force Awakens, you actually got the tickets for us for Force Awakens because I was at some kind of event that night and I couldn't do it. And then you did that one, and you went through, you're like, and you were struggling. And then for this one was for me. I got him this time because my dad, whose birthday is December 20th, wanted to go opening night to see a Star Wars movie because we always took him like closer to his birthday or whatever. But this time he's like, I want to go on the open. So I had to get tickets for him and my mom. So there was like an entire row. And I don't know if you remember, but we went on, and the only one we could get tickets to was the fan event for The Last Jedi, and it was $40. And for some reason, everybody agreed to spend $40 to go see it. It's Star Wars. We're gonna love it. It's gonna be the greatest. And we spent $40, and they gave us like half a popcorn kernel and like a little 4-minute video about how John Williams is great, and he is.
No,
but
don't forget the Star Wars cards.
And the Topps cards, which
I think also
I think
part of
that
it,
upset more. I think giving the cards upset more people than.
and I think didn't we also like technically see the movie an hour earlier?
And we saw it an hour earlier, but
yeah.
At the age I was at, it was a big whoop-de-doo. Like, I mean, either way, if it was a day earlier or a week earlier, sure. But yeah, but it was $40 a ticket, which I think right away puts a sour taste in your mouth. But we all agreed to do it. We said, let's go do it. Then we went to go see the movie, and it was we got our one little popcorn. We walked in and we sat and we're like, ooh, what else are we going to get? And we didn't really get anything. And then we see people in the United States of America getting all the coolest stuff ever. But anyway, the movies. I sat next to you in this movie. Oh, did I sit next to you in this movie? I sat close to you in this movie. And
I don't know if you were directly beside me. I remember our friend Marcia was to my left. I remembered. Yeah. And then I think you might have been to my right. I'm not sure.
I might have, but I remember my mom and Aaron were near me too, because they both had the same comment at the end of the movie. But anyway, so we're watching it, and you, it really looked like I was trying to feed you like Brussels sprouts and beets. So why don't you? I don't want to get negative or anything, but take us through, like, as a Star Wars fan, take us through your experience watching this movie.
So,
which you did see multiple times in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
We have to let's straight up and say you did see it multiple times in the theater, so you're not a hater. But
so my thing about this one was, and I think I told you this because immediately afterwards, after we got out of the movie theater, we wanted to record our reactions, right? And I didn't really want to record mine at that point because I also like it was it wasn't like Attack of the Clones where I was just like, oh, that's good, or it was fine. It was more like I came out of it like not sure how I felt about it 100%. I knew what I didn't like about it. I knew what I liked about it. And it was about the weighing of the process that was there. I knew the stuff that I didn't like about it. I just really did not like about it. And it was just a case where it was like I felt like I needed to see it a second time before I could literally give you my 100% thoughts about it, because I was already leaning negative on that point. But I needed to see. I felt like I needed to see it again because I felt like maybe I'm being too harsh on this. Maybe maybe I'm just maybe it's just affecting me in a way that it wouldn't affect me after just seeing the second time. Because sometimes when I just watch a movie and then it's like the second time you just watch it again, you just enjoy it a little bit more. Yeah. Because all expectation kind of goes out of it after the first time. Like maybe partially what you were talking about, like with Rogue One, right? Like how you thought it was clunky and then you watch it the second time and it just fills you with joy, and just the stuff that you didn't like about it doesn't matter as much after you see it for the second time. So I regardless gave my thoughts about it for the first time, and then I saw it the second time. I think it was just like a couple days later, like 2 days later. And when I saw it that second time, that's when I was just like, yeah, I don't like this movie. This movie is not for me.
Well, actually, I have a question, because you saw it the first time with me in that $40 ticket, which, by the way, I say this earlier in the week. It was maybe later. It's the quietest I've been in a movie theater when a movie's ended in a long time.
Yeah, and that's the one thing about the VIP cinemas, right? Like you don't really get like the big, huge reactions as much.
But I've seen other movies where people have been like, at least talking after. This one was like pure silence. So, but regardless, you saw it with us. We paid $40, and my dad was very upset. Upset that he paid $40 for that movie. The reason why I'm saying this though is because every a movie going experience, a lot hinders on it, right? Like things, if you are in a bad mood going into a movie, there is a good chance that movie is not going to take you out of that bad mood, and that will be like your emotions are going to reflect your opinion of the movie. So what I'm asking is, like, that happened. you were like, what? And then like the reaction in the theater was like very mute. I mean, Brock loved it, but it was very like, other than that, it was very mute. And like my dad hated it. My mom liked it. I think my sister was like, and like, so like the people we were with, like, I think Marsha was like, I don't know, like people were just kind of like very like, well, I don't even like have an opinion, or they hated it, or Brock, who just was like ecstatic. But now you're seeing it again for the second time, and you say this time you really didn't like it. And what I'm asking, long-winded way of getting there, is the people you were with the second time, unless you went alone, how did they feel about it? Did they enjoy it or not? And do you think that maybe if you would have seen it the second time with, say, Fantasia, you might be like, this is the greatest Star Wars movie of all time?
So I don't like, because I can't remember exactly who I saw it with. I know I was with Jason, my buddy Jason. I think I was with my buddy Mike as well. The Jason who you
Well, I know how Jason feels about it. That's why I'm asking.
yeah. So Jason actually liked it quite a bit because I think he just likes the characters so much that are in those movies. Like he loves Rey, he loves Kylo, he loves Finn, he loves Poe, right? So he was automatically like, he liked it quite a bit, but for me it was just like what because he's not as close to the original movies, or at least he wasn't at that point. That possibly makes them more open to, some of the stuff that they do with the original series characters in that movie. That could have been it, but at the same time, like, yeah, I don't know if it fully affected me. It was just more like I just came in there and I just wanted to affirm my thoughts, or disaffirm them if by chance that'd be the case. But it's just a funny situation that I just bring up with this as an awesome comparison point. Like me watching Last Jedi for the first time has some similarities to another movie I watched for the first time just the other day, in Spider-Man. And the main reason I'm comparing these two is that they were the same type of reaction, but opposite at the same time. And by that, I mean, like, I went into Last Jedi and I was like, ooh, the stuff I don't like about this movie is there, and the stuff I like about the movie is there, but I wasn't sure exactly where I fell on that line at that time. I go see Spider-Man, and I absolutely loved it, but I felt overwhelmed by it as well at the same time, where I was just like, I'm so overwhelmed by this movie that I don't know exactly how much I like it. I know I like it a lot, but I'm really looking forward to seeing it for the second time, because it will help me reaffirm, or maybe disaffirm even possibly my feelings about it a little bit. So it's a case of like two movies where I had to see it for the second time, and in the case of Spider-Man, I will be seeing it for the second time tomorrow. I will have seen it
by the time this airs. You've already seen it 2 weeks ago.
Yes, I will have already seen it. I will have already seen it twice. But yeah, it's two very similar situations but different at the same time, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But whatever, you're a hater. So we're gonna move past. So like Solo was fine. Solo was Solo. I think expectations, reality, whatever. It was Solo. If that movie was made today, it would be a Disney Plus series. I think we can all agree on that. So we move past that. We'll do The Rise of Skywalker. We went to go see that opening night. Same type of thing. It was a lot of fun. Blah 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 blah. Star Wars. But for you, the big Star Wars, because and I could be putting words in your mouth, but whatever. I'm going to. Because of your feelings for The Last Jedi, The Rise of Skywalker was The Rise of Skywalker. There was excitement because it was the last one, but there was also the bitterness from The Last Jedi. Mm-hmm. But in between all this is the show called The Mandalorian. They have announced a show called The Mandalorian. You mentioned earlier Boba Fett you were a huge fan of. You went for the Jango Fett stuff. Now this Mandalorian show is coming. Take me through this hype level of this Mandalorian and your expectations for this unknown show on this unknown streaming service.
So when I first heard about this, I mean, I wasn't 100% sure about it. I'd be like, oh, Mandalorian, like, that's cool. I like Mandalorians. I am all for, like, exploring a show about this, about Mandalorians and Mandalore and whatnot. And Jon Favreau being attached to it was pretty great. But I don't know if I felt like as supremely hyped about it as I became when I watched the one panel the panel for Mandalorian. I think it was Celebration, right? It was a Celebration
Chicago,
panel.
yeah.
It was Celebration Chicago. And watching that one and then doing my reaction afterwards was pretty special, because literally almost every time it felt like Jon Favreau came out of his mouth, started speaking in that panel, he was constantly saying stuff that I absolutely loved. Every time he was describing this show, whether it's about being a Western meets Star Wars, a samurai film meets Star Wars, I mean, it was just building it more and more and more. And, just hearing Carl Weathers talk about it, and Gina Carano, talk about her now. Did I use my camera there for a moment?
Keep going.
Okay. But regardless, it was that panel is the thing that really, really got me hyped completely.
But they blocked out the trailer in that panel, if you remember. They blocked it out.
That's right.
I'm imagining you went back to your Phantom Menace days and watched it illegally.
Yes, because I don't know if you can call it illegally, because I remember I watched it on YouTube. It was on YouTube.
Okay.
Right. So it came out. I came out on YouTube. I didn't watch it all. I just saw, like, because I believe a part of it was that scene where he walks into the bar for the first time to get Mithril. Right. That was a part of that trailer. So just seeing that part was pretty huge.
So your hype level is real. We did a cool little show on the channel, like, who is the Mandalorian?
Right.
Because we didn't know, and we were all wrong, because he was an original character, which is great. The first show debuts on November 12th. Disney Plus first launches. It's the show that launches with it. What time do you wake up for Mandalorian the day it launched?
So I believe I watched it at 3 a.m. At 3 a.m., like literally when it dropped, I just plugged in and watched the episode, and it was a cool dropping method, but obviously because they dropped that episode on, it was the Tuesday, right? I believe it dropped.
No, it was Friday, I think.
It was a Friday? Okay.
Wait, no, it was a Tuesday, Friday. You're right.
That's what I thought.
Tuesday
Yeah.
and then Friday. Yeah.
Yeah, because they dropped the second episode just a couple days after.
What year was that? 2019?
2019, yeah. 2019.
So November 12th, 2019 was a Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah. So they dropped that, and it was cool, because we literally went over to Brock's place, and I and Andrew recorded the first episode of Mandalorian Scum. And that was very cool, and we got to talk about that. That episode was really awesome, and then of course it would continue on from that point. I mean, you'd get episode 2 on the Friday, and I was absolutely loving this show, almost from the very beginning.
It was a great 1-2 punch because of the reveal at the end, and then you get right into it. And just for anybody watching on YouTube right now, Rob's camera has a 1 hour time limit, and that's why.
Yeah, apologies. I literally just tried to disconnect it and reconnect it, but it was not working.
It's not working. You have a 1 hour. You have a 1 hour limit, but we're not going to keep you much longer anyway. We know you have to go watch the original trilogy on VHS soon. So, I need to know your thought. Baby Yoda. Talk to me about Baby Yoda. The first time we see Baby Yoda, did your head explode? Did you jump up and down? Did you wake your mom up? Did you go outside and throw snowballs at your neighbors' houses? Like, what was your reaction to Baby Yoda? You're back.
So I am back. Yeah, I managed to get this a different camera, as you might be able to see now. I'm using my actual laptop camera this time. So just so you guys can see me again. It was a pretty huge reveal, because obviously we knew that they were kind of like hiding something, right? Like, it was part of the reason why I believe they didn't screen that episode for like critics and stuff like that ahead of time, right? I think they were trying to hide it.
No, I think it was after. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. They hit it well. I think they showed 4 episodes, but I don't know if it was after that one debuted or not.
See, that's what I thought. I thought it was after it debuted. I knew they showed them 4 episodes, but I thought it might have been like, the first one gets shown live, and then you get to see the next 3 afterwards early.
It might have been. Yeah, I can't remember. But yeah, anyway, yeah. Look, they got us all. And you brought up the Celebration panel. the whole time on that panel, they know what they've got in their pocket. Like they know, and every time like we've got stuff for fans. It's not. It wasn't what like no one predicted a Baby Yoda.
Yeah. It was it was a dynamic. It was definitely a reaction for me at that time that I wasn't going to be able to fathom exactly how much I was going to like this later. Like especially like you and I have spoken about so much. Like when you get into season 2 of that show and with how it ends and all that stuff. Like by the end of season 2, that relationship between Din Djarin and Grogu is just unbelievably well done. Like one of the best like relationships between two characters in a Star Wars film, almost, or Star Wars property in general. Like it's literally if you were to pair up two characters and just have them, just be in scenes together, it's like Grogu and Din Djarin is like definitely my top 5, 100%. Like it's just such a special part of the show, and I'm very excited. I'm very interested to see what season 3 is going to look like when very clearly this probably won't be a main part of the show anymore.
Well, definitely not. But as a Clone Wars fan, what was it like seeing a Bo-Katan and Ahsoka and these Clone Wars characters moving from animation to live action, which is something that I don't think I ever anticipated seeing, and they did it flawlessly, and they did it in a way where you didn't have to see those the Clone Wars show to understand who these characters were. So how did that make you feel?
I mean, it was starting to, like, I remember when I first heard about it, I was completely hyped and, happy that they were like, a part of that announcement was, Boba Fett was coming back to Tamora Morrison playing Boba Fett. But it also started in the back of my head, like getting me partially a little worried, because I was also kind of thinking, it's like, oh, how are they going to connect all this? Like, how are they going to bring them all in? Like, in what way are they going to introduce them that could make it accessible for, like, the common fan? But at the same time, I was very foolish to even be questioning that because of how well they handled, like, characters in the first season and whatnot. But it was also a case where it was just like, I was partially worried as to whether these characters coming in are going to take away from the main dynamic and the main dynamic of the show. But no, it all just complemented the show in general just so well. And it constantly always made sense as to where these characters are coming from and why they were coming in. Like, from the way they introduced Bo-Katan, it completely makes sense with the show why they would introduce that character. From the way they introduced Ahsoka to the way that they ultimately introduced Boba Fett when he came in. Obviously, they introduced him a little bit earlier in that season, but when they actually fully brought him in, was done unbelievably well as well.
Yeah, as a big, massive Boba Fett fan, I'm sure this is a time for you. Today, what day is it today? When this airs? Yours airs on, I think, hold on. Let's find out what day it is. The people listening are like, I know what day it is. I'm living it.
Yeah.
We pre-record. This is the 20. I've scheduled yours to debut on Book of Boba Fett Day.
Oh, okay.
So here we are. It is Book of Boba Fett Day. I can only imagine what's going through your mind today. Obviously, you can't speak to it because we're pre-recording this, but you've got to be excited for that series.
I am super excited for that series. I mean, now especially, like, it kind of like felt like I was very hyped for that series, but like, regardless of the fact us being fan of other things, Spider-Man was also a thing that might have been taking away some of the hype away from it earlier. But as we're getting closer, and now as we are on this day, I am getting extremely hyped for this show. I'm very hyped for this thing, like just the way that they've done the trailers and describing how it could be. Tamora Morrison's just, he's like, any way that you can like hear his voice in as voicing Boba Fett in now the special editions, the re-edited ones. It's not the same thing. And it's so good the way he's playing him now. Like the way his voice and the timbre of his voice just always sounds so good. It's like, oh, I intend to rule with respect.
Yeah.
And so forth, man. And like that stuff just sounds so good. I'm very curious because this is also a show I believe they're hiding like They could be hiding a few things, a few surprises.
Robert Rodriguez said that they've only been able to show stuff from the first half of the first episode.
Okay, so there you go. So
I mean, there might be stuff from other episodes in there, but he said the first episode, the first half is all they can show anything from. Right. So I don't know what it is. I don't want to. The other thing, I don't want to get my hopes, expectations too high. I can't expect another baby. I mean, they could throw baby Jabba, but I can't expect a baby Yoda, right? Like, I don't know what's coming, but there's something fun on its way. And by the time people are listening to this, it's come and gone.
Yeah, we will know. We will know that, the big surprise cameo of this thing is Wedge Antilles. Probably not.
If that's the big surprise, then they failed.
Yeah.
But that's coming. Mandalorian season 3 is coming. Ahsoka's coming. There's all these things coming. Rob, Star Wars is at an all-time high. How happy are you to be a Star Wars fan, like a true Star Wars fan?
I'm very hyped. I mean, like, I if I'm gonna say something, it's like all the stuff like about possibly stuff not coming up is still like a little concerning to me. But at the same time, the stuff that we pretty much know is coming, like, when it comes to the Ahsoka show, Mandalorian season 3, Book of Boba Fett, which is now dropped, is all very exciting, especially for Star Wars TV. And I'm very, very curious to see when we're finally getting our new Star Wars movie. And how good it'll be, how it'll look. Will it be Rogue Squadron? Will it be something else? I'm very anxious to see what it's going to be and where we're heading in the movies now.
Yeah, I know. The future is bright on streaming, but in the theatrical side of things, we got to, we have a long way to go to find out. But let's wrap this up on this last note. Because the thing with Star Wars is I got into it, and once you got into it when you were 10. Some people got into it with The Force Awakens. Other people, maybe Rebels, maybe Clone Wars. Maybe somebody's getting into it right now because of the Book of Boba Fett. Do you have any advice for new Star Wars fans just getting into the franchise now?
I mean, my advice for you guys, like if you are getting into it right now, what's that, sir?
Run.
Yeah. No. What I would say to you is that if you're getting into Star Wars right now and you might be getting into it, might be going, it's like, oh, I didn't really like those original movies. There's plenty of people that, as great as Star Wars is, some people don't like the original movies and stuff like that. But they could easily come up with something that's just for you. Like when I mentioned somebody like my buddy Jason, he didn't really care for Star Wars. And that's why I'm saying it's like Force Awakens came out and they introduced these characters like Rey, Foe, and Foe.
Foe is my favorite. I like
Foe is your favorite.
Yeah. Poe and Finn are my favorite.
Finn and Poe and whatnot, and those became like his favorite Star Wars characters, right? Like and he started loving Star Wars as a result, and he started loving even the original trilogy more as a result. So, I have a feeling that something will come for you, and I just would mostly say is if you have expectations for where it should go and where it should be, try to taper those expectations as much as possible, because they're going to write their own stories and whatnot, and they might not be exactly what you want, but take it for what it is as best you can. And maybe that could have affected me for liking Last Jedi more, maybe it wouldn't have. But that's my best thing, and that's one of the things I try to do as movies as much as possible. Because again, going back to something like Spider-Man again, there were so many expectations, so many rumors about what we were going to see. I tried to shove them onto the side just in case that wasn't going to be the case. Like if we weren't going to get what we wanted.
All right, Rob.
Yeah.
Thank you. This has been a blast. Your camera's, you got a new camera. This one has a 5-minute. Operating time, so we're gonna wrap it up.
If it's a 5-minute timer, that means my laptop's going completely. So that could be it.
We shouldn't joke about that. Yeah. But thanks for joining me, Rob. This has been a blast. Before we leave, tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me at Robert E. McDonald on Twitter and Instagram. And I may potentially have some very exciting shots to put on my Instagram and Twitter feed coming soon, because I'm going to be going away for a month or so coming up in late January.
You should give him a follow, and let's hope COVID stops. Let's just hope it slows down.
Let's hope it slows down 100%.
Yeah, let's hope it slows down.
I mean, for all we know right now, the Omicron variant might have like 10,000 cases here in Ontario by that point. So.
Not gonna look. All right. Thanks so much,
Hopefully
Rob.
not.
Thank everybody for watching, for listening. Give us a like, a thumbs up. You're not paying attention to that. And give us a review and a 5-star rating on wherever you listen to podcasts. But thank you so much for saying you're spending some time with us. And until next time, may the force of others be with you. All right, we done.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.